Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and this is Ask Sumit episode 67. You can ask him any question. First, a request to all of you to please like this video. And now let's welcome 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Sumitji, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Jai Sri Ram, Radhe Radhe sir, all good and fine. When you are Ashirwad and of Lord Mahaka. Namaskaram to all our brothers and sisters across the world.
Sir, people who may have just watched the other episode I did at 7:30 p.m. IST may be confused. Look, US is supplying weapons to NATO, but US is not doing a trade deal with EU. Sir, Sumitji, help us understand this puzzle.
Yeah. Sir, we take the name of Lord Sree Ganesh and do the Sree Ganesh of this today's show. Well, there is a very complex, I wish this show could be for 2 hours. There are so many intricacies, there are knots after knots after knots. And with every passing day, these knots are getting more and more entangled. But we'll try to, we will try to unknot them as many as we can and get a logical perspective to our thought process here. The process starts from when Trump declared on the social media platform Truth, after the 11th August, if the deal is not reached between EU and them, we are going to impose 30% tariff on you. Now, that is the kind of a tariff which EU cannot handle, EU does not want to handle, and EU will not be very comfortable to handle. Let it be cheese, let it be pharma, let it be machinery, let it be cars, and let it be agriculture produce. Everything will have a 30% tariff. If you go deep into it, EU is a bigger sufferer. The impact is around $79 billion. And if you look at US's impact, because EU is also saying that if you don't cut a deal with us, we are going to put retrospective tariffs with you. The impact on the other side is around $29 billion. So Americans will also be hit, but EU will be more hit. Is 79 billion was 20 million, 9 billion. That is the kind of impact. EU and American trade is one of the biggest in the world. And right now, it's a very balanced trade because when you talk of EU, talk around a lot of countries within the EU. I think 32 is the number or whatever is within the EU, which are dealing as one block with the United States of America. The challenge with the EU is that all the trade ministers met in Belgium and they wanted to come to a consensus, but now everybody has a different, has a small ecosystem within himself which they have to balance. Now, when balancing all the ecosystems and talking about bigger ecosystems which balances the American ecosystem is a bit of a challenge here. Now, the Europeans are saying if we don't have this trade deal, we are not very happy with it. Ursula von der Leyen, the head, is planning that we want to have this trade deal with America. But if we don't have this trade deal with America, then I'm going to work with my fellow, commerce ministers of Europe, and I'm going to prepare a deal how Europe is going to retaliate to these tariffs. And if the retaliation happens, $79 billion Europe down, $29 billion is what America is going to go down. And with it, the industry which are going to be hit, the first industry which will be hit will agriculture, dairy, and EVs. I think the point of contention between the EU and the US is agriculture, agri-products, dairy, and mostly the cars. Trump is of the opinion Europe is not buying my cars, you buy cars from Japan and you buy cars from China, which I'm not happy with. Now, that is what a bone of contention is. That Europe says, you are not buying my agri products, you're not buying our dairy products. America says, I have a lot of my dairy, why should I buy your dairy? So unless and until some middle ground is reached, and the fact remains a lot of the economies within the Europe are devastated by China. China has got into those smaller countries like Croatia and all, devastated their economies, devastated their SME sectors, and these SME sectors are now really looking for that last breath of air. It might come through the trade deal. So for this Europe, it is important to have a trade deal. But for America, Trump wants a trade deal on the conditions, else pay 30%. So it's going to be a bit of a quagmire. We have to see how the things settle. So they both want the deal to happen because then you will be equitable at both the sides. Now with this trade deal fiasco going on and people coming here and they are preparing for retaliatory actions, what US has decided up to the 11th of August, Europe has decided up to the 11th of August, there will be no retrospective tariffs. There will be no retaliatory action to whatever the Trump is proposing. It continues like that. But the pressures are building. The echo chambers are echoing that the deal will be worked out. There might be some trade-offs, except 2 or 3 contentious points. I think the deal is more overdone, but we don't know will the tariffs be less than 20% or not. Even with the India trade deal, we are hearing now tariffs might not be less than 20%, but the India is asking for is less than 10% tariff. And remember, there are people who are paying around 25 to 40% tariffs, and China on average is paying 51% tariffs. So, everybody is trying to get the best out of the deal, but things are still in a very difficult situation. And this Europe is trying best to cut a deal where we cut each other equal. That is where it is going to happen. Both need each other, and if the ecosystem fails, it will be a lot of things, a lot of organizations of the world which will start failing. And one of them, which is a part of our discussion, is NATO. One of them which is bound to fail is NATO, because if America walks out of the NATO, NATO has nothing to lose. So this is what the trade deal fiasco is happening. I hope that they should be able to cut a deal, and if they cut a deal and we cut a deal with America, I think our next FTA with European Union, which is in negotiation for the last 16 years, will hopefully happen. And then we want a couple of more FTAs which we are going to pull through. They will also follow eventually. It's a golden chance for us to apply the global supply chains, and it will be the moment for the world to take out China from most of the supply chains. But is China going to let it happen? Is China going to be silent? No. China is going to create dissonance. China is going to bribe leaders. China is going to create artificial scarcity, and China is going to weaponize everything under its control, what it can do to scuttle these deals. And that is where we stand. Now, having said that, now let's move to the second subject. Very interesting developments happening in the last 24 hours. July 3rd meeting between Putin and Trump, wherein Putin kind of indicated, look, I'm going to escalate this. I want to win this war. I don't want to have a ceasefire. I don't want to surrender. I don't want to do anything. I want Ukraine's unconditional surrender, and they should forget going into the NATO. These are my two conditions. Putin told this to the Iranian media, which Iranian media kind of exaggerated and kind of let it go global. Though surprisingly, none of the media talked a lot about it. There was some columns here and there, but Iranis were very clear what Putin wanted. And if we look at the Putin's actions after that, every night there are more than 500 drones and a couple of missiles he's sending into Ukraine. Now Ukraine is saying, oh, we have intercepted this, we have intercepted these many, but I don't believe that. The capability of Ukraine to intercept drones and especially those hypersonic missiles is almost zero. So there's a lot of damage which is happening in the Ukraine, and that is what is irking Trump. Trump says, I don't want lives to be lost in Ukraine. We don't know how many lives are lost, but he says, I don't want lives to be lost in Ukraine, but at the same time, there's nothing I can do much. Now, 48 hours back, there was a deal wherein Trump said, I'm going to give $300 million of equipment to Ukraine, but NATO is going to pay the bill. NATO pays to me, and I'm going to give this equipment to Ukraine. We thought it is settled then. Then, I don't know what is the position of NATO on this. Is NATO going to foot the bill? Is Ukraine going to get the paid? And Ukraine is also playing very dirty, very murky. And I fully, as a patriotic Indian, I'm irked because my heart is fuming with anger. I'll tell you why. Ukraine is playing a very deadly game. I don't know who are behind it. I'll also tell you where possibly Ukraine will be heading next. So with these things happening and the drone attacks happening, 573, 724, these are the number of projectiles which get fired on Ukraine every night. Drones and these missiles put together, and half of them are those 𝗪𝗪 drones, which are those kamikaze drones. So it's very easy to block 𝗪𝗪 drones. I don't know why Ukrainians can't do it. But anyway, that's not the point here. So with all those fiasco going on, so they went back to Trump. So $300 million kept aside. I don't know what is the NATO's final push on it, because the NATO's chief is supposed to meet, General Ruth is supposed to meet President Donald Trump. Why? I'll tell you. 3, 4, 5 things happening in the backyard. So you hold the thought here. The NATO chief is supposed to meet $300 million deal. No, it is just the beginning of the story. There are a lot of connotations, there are a lot of layers, and there are a lot of bi-layers to it. I'll try to go them one by one very seriously. The first thing is that. Now, what Zelensky wants? Zelensky wants Patriot missiles. Zelensky wants a Patriot missile shield. But how effective is Patriot against Kim Jong? We don't know. How effective is Patriot against, how effective is even THAAD against a Mark 10 projectile? We don't know. It has never been tested in the real life with a hypersonic Mark 10 projectile. How effective in THAAD is, we don't know. So, can America give those missiles to interceptors to Zelensky? While as America is left with few hundred interceptors only, and they can only make 600 in a year. What the kind of projectiles which Putin is throwing at you is 500-700 in a night. So even if there are 20 odd missiles, every time you will fire 20 odd projectiles, $15 to $20 million per one interceptor. And you can only make 600 in a year. That is the capacity. America is left with 25% of interceptors only across the world. How much can Trump give and how much they will be effective? That is a big question. While as Putin's offensive against Ukraine is increasing and Ukraine is now depleting at a very fast rate. Ukraine says nobody got killed, nothing happened. So Putin is saying, if nobody got killed, nothing happened, why are you worried? Then let me continue with what I'm doing. But Trump is saying people are getting killed. Now, Trump is not happy with Putin because Trump believes that Putin talks good and in the night goes and bombs people, which can be true in some cases. He talks good and goes and bomb. Because I told you from the very beginning, look, Putin is looking for a victory. He is not looking for a consolation prize. He is not looking for a truce. He is not looking for a ceasefire. That days are gone. And as the NATO chief general Ruth has himself admitted, Putin can make ammunition 3 times than the US and NATO put together. And Putin's missile production is 10 times NATO and American, military industry put together, 10 times. And the cost is 1/3. So the balance of power in the world is really, really changing. So what does Trump say? Trump says, I'm going to meet the NATO chief and we are going to discuss, amongst the other things, this. What are they going to discuss? Possibly how many patriots can we give to Ukraine. Now the question is, are these patriots free? Who's paying the bill? Trump is very clear. European Union is going to pay the bill. They're going to pay me 100% money. And for me, it's business. When I get the money, I'll ship. I'll tell you what I'm going to ship. I'm going to ship some very highly sophisticated piece of equipments to Ukraine. Now, what is that piece of equipments to Ukraine? Now, interceptors is one, what we know. Another is believed to be the missiles which can carry long range attacks into the Russian territory and even into Moscow. Well, that is a big escalation. If Donald Trump decides to give them to Zelensky, Zelensky is going to use them. Now, Russians have the Samrat, which can take 18,000 miles, I think 15 MIRV. Russians have a lot of these Poseidon, Russians have a lot of these deadly missiles. There are 10 of them which are most deadly there. So now last time when the Russia had attacked Ukraine with those 700 plus projectiles, NATO's jets were in the sky and they did not try to intercept anything, but they were in the sky. There was a panic in the NATO. If it crosses into Poland, how is NATO going to react? Now, if this happens, this will be a definite escalation. And if you look at Putin's precedent and those nuclear powered missiles, which have practically no range, they can hit anywhere in the world. And his production is all-time high. He has around few thousand 𝗓𝗡𝗏s ready. So this is a grave escalation. So that is what President Trump is going to talk. I think, again, they have to contemplate what to give to Zelensky, what not to give to Zelensky. It's not a question about money, what he's putting on the table, or what European Union is putting on the table. So Trump is acting smart. Trump is saying, I'm not giving him the weapons. They're buying from me and giving it to them. That's one. I will decide which weapon to give, which weapon not to give. That is my discretion, because Trump understands he does not want things to go south. Why he doesn't want things to south? There are 3 precise reasons. I'll come to that. So Trump doesn't want things to go to south. He is very careful with that. Why is he meeting the NATO chief? That is the biggest thing. You do not, what she rightly said, you don't have a deal with the Europeans. You are kind of loggerheads. And why you are here trying to have a very cozy relation with Europe? Because Europe is scared that once Putin is done with Russia, he will come from Europe, which may not happen, because Europe has done everything to screw the happiness of Putin. At 5 years down the line, he might have ambitions like that. But like now, Putin has said no. That's one reason. Secondly, why you are calling the NATO chief is because there are 3 things happening. Americans have approached Japan, Americans have approached Australia, and they're asking them, if there is a war which breaks up with Taiwan, would you be willing to join forces? The problem with Australians is AUKUS. The problem with Australians is what we covered in one of our endgame series. There's our islands between Australia and New Zealand, and China has done a lot of military exercises there. They have sent a very clear message: if you join forces, we'll bomb your cities. And for Australian missiles or projectiles to reach, China is quite far off. So Australia is a dilemma. Recently, Chinese, when they signed a big trade deal, so that is the second enticer. So Chinese usually do dangle a trade deal, and then you mute your military responses. Japan has this Article 9 in their constitution, which does not give the powers to the Japanese Prime Minister to enter a war or do a war or a military alliance. Third thing, Quad doesn't have a military charter. So will they reach to India? Yes, they will reach to India. What do they expect? They expect us to give them logistic support, give them data, and give them surveillance. Imagine a radar quadrangle. Here, that is Andaman Nicobar, you have Guam, and you have Dibogashia. They want to monitor between all the 3 movements of everything. And of course, Hawks 360 and all will be in there. So they will want India to give them MRO support at all. And by the way, India has a deals with America, which India is bound to give. So how much India is willing to get into that war and what, that is something to be seen. Why Taiwan now? That is the question. Huangguang, I think that's the name. Taiwan is organizing the biggest ever exercise in the history of Taiwan. It is on right now. We talk 10-day exercise in which they are moving thousands of reserves. Civilians are getting involved, hundreds of drills. And the most precise and most decisive show of power by Taiwan ever, which has fumed China. What did China do? China kind of crossed the median line, I think 47 sorties, couple of jets, then they send us 7 ships crossing the median line, but that is what Taiwan has got used to. They're not bothered. Now, China is trying to do something more. What it has done, the information is that DF-17s have been deployed on Fujian. Now, can Fujian fire a DF-17? I'm not sure, but if they have deployed DF-17s and 27s, there is a possibility it can fire. Now, they have moved a lot of arsenal in the province opposite to Taiwan. Now, China is also trying to show their presence because they're really getting fumed by Taiwan. They're saying it's all deception, this will never happen, this is all bluff and all that. But America, for the first time, is seeing some simmerings happening because Japanese ships and French ships are straying in the Straits of Taiwan, I think 24 hours back, which tells you that something is happening. Now, what is happening right now is not those war games, it's pre-war calibration where Americans are firmly reaching to there and all. I think very soon they will reach to India, or they might have reached to India as we talk. What is your stand going to be? India doesn't want to get drawn into war. India wants to fight a war as if, when and ever it's required. India doesn't want to fight an American war. The problem is there's no Quad Charter. So the Taiwan angle is heating up. Middle East, again simmering. You don't know what will happen next. China is almost certain to supply J-10Cs to Iran. And if the Iran gets, what are they going to do next? So, there is the status are shading up. And here you have a problem that how much of arsenal can you give to Zelensky? So there are 3 theaters which are shaping up. Now, Trump will talk to the NATO chief and see what is the position of the arsenal. How much can we give? How much can not be given? How to prioritize, what to prioritize, and what not to prioritize. That is an important thing. Meanwhile, China is watching how does the India-US trade deal go? How does the India-America-EU trade deal go? Based on that, China will try to angle into it. Like Dr. Jaishankar was he was given all the warm hospitality during the SCO, ministers meet and all. They were trying to normalize the relation. But, the points of contention remain the same. That is Dalai Lama, that is 𝗟𝗟𝗍, that is China-Pakistan nexus, and that is trade. So they remain the same. And let me also tell you that China has tried to weaponize everything against India. Even if we go as recently as June, they tried to weaponize the fertilizer. They even tried to weaponize the fertilizer and fail our Kharif crop. That was what their mission and mission was. So, you might not go on the optics, you might not look at the handshakes and those pictures, though after 5 years, Dr. Jaishankar has went there. But at the back of the at the back of the hat, the Chinese intentions are exactly the same: strangle India. So when the Chinese get very messed up, so temporarily they might be signing truce because they are looking at these things, because they might have a plan vis-a-vis Taiwan, so they don't want to activate India right now. They may want to get India on their side. Again, they're trying to wrangle those trade deals and all, which we are not taking the bait. No joint statement yet. Muting the Vice President Hang Jiang, and besides optics and all, normalizing relations, but nothing happens. 2 friction points are still there. But if you look at the relations, they have deteriorated. If you look at the trust, it has come down. And if you look at all the red lines are breached. When you gave Pakistan weapons, when you gave Pakistan active intel, and today your air chief is visiting bloody Pakistan and staying in Islamabad and telling us from there, we have learned a lot from Pakistan Air Force. They have done a fantastic job in Operation Sindoor. Now we are learning that, and I'm going to implement that in the Chinese Air Force, as if Pakistan has achieved those big milestones. So the trust deficit is there. So this is how the things are broadly shaping up. I have 1 or 2 points more after Sree sir completes.
Sumiji, reliable information that the Chinese ambassador to Pakistan, which is basically the governor of Pakistan, was sitting in the war control room till the 10th Noor Khan base got taken out. Then the guy probably got shit scared. Listen to this. Listen to what I'm saying. You Chinese pigs, scum. Listen to what I'm saying. You guys shit in your pants, and then he ran out of that place because he thought he might be next. This is the amount of involvement China has in that Operation Sindoor conflict, viewers.
Correct. You're absolutely right. I was from the day one saying it's a joint venture between Pakistan, China, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, and 4th country. Again, I have given you the names. It is Qatar or Iran, possibly Iran, and Qatar doing all the financing work. That's why Modi ji was going to all these countries, and all these countries, what did Modi ji sign? He signed LNG deals. Why do you depend on Qatar? LNG. Now, this 8-nation tour in 5 days, or 5-nation tour in 8 days, recent tour, all the countries' LNG deals are signed. That is the precise reason why he was out on buying LNG spare, so that he can reduce dependence on Qatar. So that is what is happening. Chinese were there. Even if you look at General what Rahul Singh sir said, the deputy chief of the Indian Army, he said Pakistani person, the Chinese equipment was manned by Chinese people, and even the Turkish equipment was manned by Chinese people. And what we have been telling on PGurus channel, a couple of these guys got killed in that, and that is true. And you remember when few Chinese were ordered in the peak of conflict to leave via KPK, Afghanistan and leave. Why would they order that? Because they were all Chinese military person. They didn't want them to be died. They don't want them to die on the ground or their nexus to be exposed. Even in Pakistan, I have been stretching my neck out and saying there's a joint infrastructure between Pakistan and China, which is labeled as Pakistani but manned by Chinese. Even today, it is existing there. So that is the kind of a contention we have. So there is nothing okay with vis-a-vis China. They are really, really frustrated with Taiwan because Taiwan dared to do this. Why? Because they thought and they believed in Operation Sindoor. China has got whacked. Their weapons were useless. Their satellites could be jammed. They got a good flavor of this. And now that Taiwan is more confident with the Western weapons, you can any day overpower, Chinese weapons. So China doesn't want to live with that fight. What is China doing? China is nowadays telling us what is the range of Dong-Fei 50, 17, what is the range of DF 17, how many missiles we have, how many can be produced. All this information that they're trying to throw in the open domain, they want to basically try to threaten us. And the news which they're leaking that we have mounted this on Fujian, basically is to threaten us and say, look, we can fire these missiles. But how much can they do, how much they cannot do, that's a different issue altogether. But I can see a lot of, anxiety building in China. And even at 51% tariff, they have not got a deal. It's a shit of a deal. Sorry to use that word. This is not the best of a deal. This is what a crap you could get at 51% tariffs. You have not got anything. So these all theaters are changing up. Putin wants a victory. And Trump doesn't want to lose face. The problem is Putin is taking much more time than I think Trump and Putin agreed to get this done. The problem with Putin is that whenever he tries to have a decisive victory, though he had, by the way, one interesting piece of information, the mines which Volodymyr Zelensky was trying to offer to Trump for lithium and all and rare earths, they've been already captured by Putin yesterday. So there are no mines to offer Mr. Zelensky. And why I was fuming against Zelensky, I'm coming in that. So there are no mines to offer. So every day, Zelensky doesn't have much to offer. And even Zelensky even kind of said that, Russian spies were said then, KGB was trying to assassinate me, usual things. Now, the question is, this is how the things are shaping and they are all interlinked. In the meanwhile, Zelensky played a very dirty trick. And I, as an Indian, am fuming. Why I'm fuming? Zelensky tweeted yesterday, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, yeah. I think less than 24 hours or 48 hours. He said, we need to be protected. Our people are dying, our children are dying, and Russia fired this, Putin fired these many missiles, these many rockets, these many Shahed drones. That's okay. Zelensky, you should not beg to save your country. You should have resources to go into a war. Otherwise, call it a day. What was your ambitions of getting NATO? Who has NATO been able to protect so far? But he said, very dangerous thing. He said, now I am requesting the world and United Nations to sanction Russia. Okay. I am requesting American president to put secondary sanctions and impose penalties on all those countries who are buying oil from Russia. Now, one of the biggest oil buyers from Russia is India. I think the second biggest. And what he's proposing, what that baboon is proposing, is that you should have 500% tariff on us to buy Russian oil, because we are saying some $20 billion a year, which we need as a country, and we can use that to buy weapons definitely. He's trying to say that you put sanctions, secondary sanctions on people who are funding the Russian machinery so that they are not unable to buy the Russian oil. And basically, I'm telling you, Zelensky has moved to the Islamist camp. He's with the Chinese because at the end of the day, hurting India's interests, trying to get that thing up and running. He's trying to relate deaths. Look, these are deaths happening in Ukraine, and this is because of the people who are buying Russian oil. He's trying to make them like this. So you stop this buying oil, the deaths will stop. Well, that is not the case. The deaths are not going to start, Zelensky. Now, this is how, इसे कहते हैं हिंदी में थाली में छेद करना. You spit in the plate which you are eating. That is what this man is doing. With all the help we have given him, with the tons of relief we have sent in, with those cargo planes full of relief we have sent in, and Modi ji trying to broker the pace for you, with Modi ji trying to have a ceasefire for you, what do you return? You want India to be sanctioned with 500%. And after Zelensky saying and merging and mixing it with the deaths happening in Ukraine, in USA, this Lindsey Graham's bill is started getting momentum. And Trump is also starting, let me look into it, let me contemplate into it. But Why Trump is saying that? Because he doesn't want to lose the tide. He wants to ride it right. Because in the backdrop, the things are started getting momentum. And by the way, this is a very dangerous bill for India. This will hurt India's commercial interests. And if Zelensky is the man who's behind this, trying to sell the people on the death and destruction of Ukraine and equating it with the 500% tariff. So this bill gives Trump the powers to do it. I think that Trump is already contemplating. He wants 2 exceptions. The bill gives him 1. That is still, which is being contemplated and being discussed. We'll see how it shapes up. But this is what Zelensky's real ideas are. Zelensky met Tayyip Erdogan. Zelensky can get oil from Iran. Zelensky is trying to get weapons from Turkey if the things don't fall in place from America. Zelensky, if he goes into the Turkey's lap, he will ultimately end up into the lap of China. He will get weapons from China through Turkey, and he will get weapons from all these countries. So that is why there was a meeting which was organized, remember, in Ankara by Erdogan. Erdogan called Zelensky. He wanted Putin and Trump to come in, wherein Putin said, I'm not going to meet Zelensky face to face. It was Tayyip Erdogan who was trying to organize this meeting. And that day I have been questioning, what is the interest of Tayyip Erdogan in in Zelensky? And remember, Ukraine's defense minister or foreign minister was one of the first person who went to met 𝗪𝗓𝗍. When 𝗪𝗓𝗍 became the president of Syria, the Islamist ISIS terrorist who became, he was the first foreign dignitary to go there and meet him. So that Zelensky is trying to make his access to the other parts, to the Islamist and the Communist alliance. If NATO doesn't put my bill, if European Union doesn't make, then we'll go to this alliance. Even Trump gives him the weapons. I mean, another 10 days you can last, 20 days you can last, but beyond that, you don't have the power to sustain the war. That is where the thing is. And can Americans afford to give your own weapons, risk your own safety and give them to Zelensky? That is a call Trump will take. And I think Trump should be very careful about that call, because that can be a very, very dangerous move which he is going to do. It's not about money, it's about a, it's not about a face. World cannot have a dissonance between America and Russia right at this point of time, because we have this Iran-Israel hanging, we have China warming up, we can have this Azerbaijan and Armenia breaking up, we can have any day India-Pakistan breaking up. And now it is a truth, what I've been telling you, friends, Pakistan, Turkey, Bangladesh and Iran making alliance is almost getting very, very well with every passing day. So that is how the war theater is. And in the meanwhile, if we talk of Iran, let's go through quickly through Iran. Now, what is happening is that the mystery of uranium, where exactly it was, where it is, it looms. It is not settled. Israel is saying, if I get a trace, I'll bomb you again. Israel is preparing its jets. Israel tried to do a peace deal with Hamas, a ceasefire. Hamas rejected it. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have too much to say. Donald Trump was pressuring Benjamin Netanyahu. Why don't you sign the deal? He said, I have signed the deal. Hamas rejected it. Hamas has rejected Donald Trump's deal. Now, Donald Trump is unfortunately frustrated because what Sree Iyer has been doing all around is not giving any results. So what is happening in Israel? Now, Israel is very happy because Hamas rejected the deal. We said we are all for it. What to do? Hamas rejected the deal. Israel says, I'll go and bomb your locations any day. Now, 𝗏𝗏 has started one long story. He said, oh, on the 4th day of attack, I was attacked. They tried to assassinate me. How did they try to assassinate me? I was in a bunker. Secret in Tehran. So what did the Israelis come? They attacked the ventilator shafts and they attacked the power system. They were gone off. How did you survive, Mr. President? Oh, I escaped through a tunnel. I escaped through this escape tunnel to a bunker. Now, this was so-called the top secret bunker of the Mullah regime. And that is where all 𝗏𝗏 and few other ministers were there, Sri sir. And because it was in reply to Israel Quds said, we don't want it to kill you because we don't want a regime change. I was telling you they will not kill 𝗏𝗏 because he can be used further. He says, we never wanted to kill you, but we were not interested in the regime change. Possibly Israel wanted to send a message to 𝗏𝗏 and all these members. We know where you are. We can eliminate you whenever we want. So now the whole drama was Israel tried to kill me, and now we have to kind of retaliate. Israel is trying to do a regime change, and Israel is trying to do this. So, this Israel and Iran thing is simmering. Hezbollah ceasefire is off. Hamas ceasefire is off. Hezbollah is emboldened, and Houthis have drowned 2 ships in the Red Sea, and they have declared a naval embargo against Israel. So this is where the things are. You continue, sir. I'll land on my part, sir.
So a couple of things that I want to add to what you said. See, why have suddenly Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis become active? Well, there is a feeling, I think, in Iran that, look, we got a couple of our missiles to land inside Israel. which means we can now attack them at will. And instead of us attacking, let's go back and tell Houthis, go to your armament, take out this particular missile and aim it and see what happens. So that kind of thinking is going on. On the other side, there's also some reasoning behind that, because it is believed that it was Israel who asked for the ceasefire. And US again told Iran, okay, fine, can you also cease fire? And as a token gesture, you can come and bomb our base in Qatar, right? That happened.
Yeah.
A base that had been already vacated by US, just so you can tell your people that we did actually have. So all this stuff, these people are used to losing regularly. Suddenly they see that, oh, here is a victory, there's a victory. Now let's go and do something more. Yeah, this much. But think about it from Israel's point of view. Israel was tired because they've been fighting since 7th October 2023. Now close to 18 months. Yeah, and multiple fronts. And they needed breathing room. Plus, they were also running out of armament. So they wanted to get a breather. The second reason could be, this is my guess, is that they wanted to really find out how many of these bunker busters actually took out enriched uranium. And now they're waiting to see, because they know that the radiation fallout will be there. And if the radiation fallout is not there, only two things then. Either Iran never had, or there is another place that these people are not aware of where Iran has hidden that. And they'll be preparing for that. We don't know when that will happen. So this looks to be what Israel is doing. In the meantime, America also is running out of supplies. The thing to look for is if China makes a move on Taiwan. That would be a problem, because America would be completely short on equipment, arms, and they may ask India, can you help? It'll be an interesting situation if something like that happens. Over to you.
I mean, you're absolutely right. So because this Hong Kong exercise of 10 days in the history of Taiwan, biggest ever, hundreds of deals, thousands of reserves, and all the civilians who have been gone, that is worrying China. China has to show being in control. That's one. Israel is basically, I've been telling you, it's a halt of operations. Israel is replenishing its stocks. Now, Israel has almost settled Gaza. It's almost kind of done. Now, there were two things which were happening parallelly. Egyptians ordered Chinese H-9QBs because they don't trust the American equipment. Why? It's not American, it's good, because American equipment comes with a lot of caveats. You can't use it against Israel. Like the F-16s of Pakistan can't be officially used against India. So you can manipulate some things here and there, but you can't. So they wanted to go for the Chinese equipment. The Camp David Accord, and my knowledge, is 99% off. It's a matter of announcing it. Israel has moved a lot of places Egypt has moved a lot of forces in the Sinai Peninsula, which is a cause for worry for Israel. Here, 𝗤𝗎𝗎 fired a couple of missiles to them. They eliminated his intelligence chief, but that's a different issue. So the Syrian angle is also to be there. Putin's support to 𝗤𝗎𝗎 will matter. Maybe if Putin decides to support 𝗤𝗎𝗎, that will be a big problem. That's why Saudis and Americans went ahead and tried to support 𝗤𝗎𝗎. So there are these things which are changing at a constant pace. I think the only stable person in the Middle East is King Abdullah and MBS. They are more over stable. They're not changing their position too much. Even the Kuwaitis and all are still okay. So that pro-American, pro-Indian bloc of the Sunni Muslims, moreover in the Middle East, they are still stabler. They are not kind of jumping the gun. But the other side is getting more and more volatile. And Houthis are really provoking. Houthis are trying to engage the Fifth Fleet, which is based in Bahrain, in Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, and the Arabian Sea. If American Fifth Fleet gets engaged there, Iran might try to do a blockage of the Strait of Hormuz for a couple of hours to send a very, very strong message. So things are really, really getting out of control. Now drone boats are being used. Now drone boats are the boats which drowned these two ships. Now after that, with these DF-17s placed on Fujian, and China has how many? 600 DF-17s and 27s, 3,000 cruise missiles, and they say in a wartime they can produce 1,000. Even if I discount it by 10 or 20, if they can produce 100 or 200, couple of hundreds in a month, there's a lot of cruise missiles. So that is what the China is bragging about. But the China doesn't know, can you fire them at one go? That is where the biggest stumbling block of China is, which they learned from the Iranian-Israel war, that Iran had the missiles, but they could not fire them due to launchers, optical fiber cable, tropospheric communications. And there's another aspect is the reliability on the satellite links. Again, 𝗏𝗏 is not very reliable because it's a copy of the Galileo, bad copy of Galileo. So that is where this, things are. So if the Taiwan hits up America and doesn't have too many chances, so NATO has to really balance. way to do, because America will not be fighting China without NATO. So China would want to take on America over Iran, but America would want to fight China over the Straits of Taiwan, because that is where it will matter. If you fight them over Iran, you don't get anything out of it. Iran will get destroyed, but you get nothing. But if you fight them over the Straits of Taiwan, at least you will get Taiwan. Because if Taiwan goes, semiconductors are gone, the complete EV industry is gone, the complete electronics industry takes a toss. And there's billions and billions of dollars which will be lost across on the stock markets. But Taiwan is preparing for this war. China is kind of posturing very hard. And Trump has to really decide now. Let's say I have 10,000 rupees in my pocket. I have to really decide what money to put on whom and where. It's a gamble I'm taking, right? Ideally, I should have, let's say, $30,000 in my pocket. 10 are for me, 10 are for deployment, 10 are for future. I only have 10 because the problem is the arsenal level is so low. I think Sree said around 2 years back, I said that the way America is going, you'll have a situation one day, you might have the biggest military industry in the world, but you'll be depleted to the arsenal. That is what China wants you to do. They want you to drain out your arsenal. Putin putting 6.3% of GDP on the weapons, $155 billion, where his production cost is 1/3. He has made a lot of arsenal. You have to credit the man for that. And you have been burning your last of arsenal with Zelensky fighting a no-use war. So now, based on the meeting with the NATO chief, we are going to contemplate what is going to happen. Meanwhile, we have one more small news to share. Now, there's a lot of talk. Russian media started reporting that in near future, in a year or two, you will have possibly, I think 1 million on 1 lakh. I'm not sure of the number. 1 million on 1 lakh Indians, which will be working in Russia. I think 1 million is 1 million. 1 million Indians will be working in Russia. Russia is opening special passports, special visas, special work permits. Today, there are around 14,000 is the community size. But in 25, 71,000 work visas have been issued by Russia for Indians. And in around a year's time, it is supposed to go to around 1 million, which will be heavy industry, Russian armory, Russian, a lot of things which Russians are producing. So around 1 million Indians are likely to go to Russia, and these will be higher-end jobs. They'll be not the blue-collar jobs, but they'll be the white-collar jobs, technical jobs, those high-end jobs, those things, engineering, heavy engineering, metallurgy, things like that. Because Russia is feeling, a lot of jobs, scarcity of manpower now. And even by 2030, I think this number is expected to go to 3.2 million. So you might have a possibility of a couple of million Indians migrating and living in Russia and getting into the core industry and technology of Russia. And when it comes to trusting, I think Russia will only trust India. Russia will not trust any other nation in the world. So this opportunity, in my opinion, will be only open for Indians and, maybe a couple of North Koreans for those blue collar jobs, and maybe one or two nation more, but predominantly for India. So it's not only Israel, it will be Taiwan, it will be Japan, it will be Russia. So slowly, the Indian influence, the Indian technical manpower, the Indian qualified labor force, white collared, blue collared, whatever you want to say it, is kind of getting more and more into demand across the world. And the trust factor on the Indian manpower is pretty much high. So that's good news for us, because we are getting our relations with Russia cemented more. And like it or not, there is nobody who can produce weapons faster than Russia today. So a lot of people will say, why are you buying? Oh, we should not buy this from them. We should not buy this from them. But still, they are the best in making weapons so far. So I think the meeting with the NATO chief is going to decide which horse to bet money on, which horse not to bet money on, which game to play, which game not to play. Or they might come together and say, okay, for 3 months, just delay everything. I will need 6 months to get my things and my house in order. Like when we wanted to rule Bangladesh, Sam Manik Shah asked Indira Gandhi for a couple of months. I need this much of time, Mrs. Gandhi, before I can deliver Bangladesh for you. But like me, the NATO chief might say, he's a general, by the way, by training and by profession, ex-general. He said, I need these many months and this is what I need. And this is the time I need. So what do you do, Mr. Trump? Buy the time, engage, talk diplomacy, talk all the good things and mean nothing. That is what diplomacy does most of the times. So talk all the good things, mean nothing, and try to buy time, engage them, and make sure the shit doesn't hit the fan. That might be also one of the strategy why he's meeting. So you might have a problems on the trade with Europe, but on the NATO and on the defense of and against Russia and China and all, you again need to work together. So world has to realize one thing. If you have to control the hegemony of People's Republic of China, these deals and all should be done very, very fast. You could not, you should not, you must not wait on converting those deals, because the time may be gone, and there will be a time you might be not able to cut a deal. Because once the war starts, it's easier to start a war, but it's very difficult to stop or contain a war. Wars have those unlimited cycles which you cannot stop or contain. When we did Operation Sindoor, we were controlling the escalation. Escalation was controlled by Bharat, not by Pakistan. So we decided when to stop. And even today, I'll be very candid, we are replenishing our stocks. We are getting more weapons, we are getting more ready. We know there will be a part 2. We know it's a matter of time, it will be again erupting. We are fully aware of that. And this time, what I know that Pakistan is getting those unmanned aerial vehicle systems, they are getting AI-based targeting, they are getting advanced Chinese weapons, they are getting those Chinese air defense systems integrated with Turkish drones, and a lot of things are happening in Pakistan. That is why the Turkish foreign minister, Turkish defense minister, and Chinese air chief were at the same time in Pakistan. I'm very sure they were not there for a biryani, they were there for something else. So we know what is happening. I think one of the points which Dr. Jaishankar is going to talk with them is say, we understand what you are doing. Let's not play this Alice in Wonderland with each other. We know what you are doing and we know what you are up to. So, Bharat is preparing. And so I think is Israel, so is America, and so is Russia. I think all the major powers are preparing, and the hostilities in the world are going to go higher. The only thing what we can hope and what the diplomats will try to do is to buy some time, is to buy peace for some time. But ultimately, as long as you have People's Republic of China intact, it will never let world to be peaceful. You can never have peace in the world. They will start the theaters of war. Chinese even believe in attacking the enemy with a borrowed knife. They don't even want to use their own knife. So borrow it for somebody and attack the enemy. That is what Chinese believe. So every time they will create proxies. Proxy might not be Hezbollah Houthi. Proxy might be a country like Iran. Proxy might be Azerbaijan. Proxy might be Turkey. Proxy might be Pakistan. So they will create these proxies. If I'm not wrong, so Iran is any other foreign languages better than Carrier proxy. We'll come to that. So they will create those proxies, and these proxies will be the people who will keep on troubling the world and making the world never stable, and the world will never be stable. And this is how it is going to happen. So don't expect anything great. I think where I put my money on, they will try to buy at least few months of peace. That is what the outcome is going to be. Yeah, they will give weapons to Zelensky, but they will not give them the weapons which Putin will escalate. They will give them the weapons which will tweak Putin a bit, which will hurt him a bit, but not bleed him. That is what Trump is going to do, because I think Trump cannot get into a fiasco with Putin, because that will be an advantage to China in Taiwan. If Taiwan falls, the semiconductor industry falls, EVs fall, a lot of things go with Taiwan, and the first island chain is gone. If the first island chain falls, you will have, you will have your Chinese Navy in the Pacific, which is a big problem for America and the West. And besides that, there are two bases, Okinawa and one is Okinawa, I forgot the another name, in Japan. And Japan is very worried. If there's a rise of escalations, these bases will be targeted. What will be the position of Japan?
Senkaku Islands, because that's very close to Taiwan.
Well, there's one more base, Yokogawa, or I forgot another name. But there is a plan. America has a plan this time. That Hainan Islands, the biggest naval base of China, they are going to target this. So they are already simulating, how to target that base. And China only has 2 aircraft carriers, and they are not really 3. And 2 of them are really those old. One is a really old, outdated thing. They are not really those aircraft carriers in the real sense. But yeah, something is better than nothing. They are not too bad, but they can't match the American things. And we were discussing on Sunday how they are trying to get Rafale pilots to do this night landing, how they have lured a lot of French pilots into it. So China is preparing for war. Let's be candid. China is preparing for what? It's for the India, Israel, I think America, to see how do we place our cards, because they know what they are doing. They are doing everything to screw our happiness. Trump has to be very, very careful this time not to escalate things with Putin. I'm very pissed off with Zelensky, because you are trying to hurt the interest of India for your own people. You are trying to sell the death and destruction which you bought to your country and trying to blame us for that. Why should I pay 500% on the oil? Because you are unable to defend your country, and your nefarious plans and your deep state has asked you to do that, and I should pay my bills. My country should pay 500% tariff. Well, Zelensky, that's not going to happen. And we'll remember you for that, and we will know you for that, what you have done. And God willing, one day we're going to settle this score. So this is how Sree said the complex it is getting. And this is how the knots are getting entangled. And next 2-3 hours, we'll see what happens. Because my hunch would be Trump will not do anything which escalates things beyond a level. He will not do it. He wants to buy time because what is happening vis-a-vis Japan and Australia and even India possibly is not war gaming. It is pre-war calibration. There's a difference between war gaming. War gaming is you simulate a scenario, imaginary scenario. Okay, you're attacked. How are you going to do that? That is what our exercises are about. But this is pre-war calibration, where you're exactly going, hey buddy, there's going to be a war. Are you with me? Can we kind of get into alliance and all that? So that is what America is doing. So for the first time, Japanese ships, French ships here. So if this pre-war calibration is happening, I'm very sure American radars have picked something which China is trying to do. And remember, China might have plans of 27 or 99 vis-a-vis China, but I'm telling you, if Chinese Communist Party gets desperate, there are two things they will try. One is something with India, and second thing is they'll try to do something with Taiwan. Taiwan gives them a lot of face, gives them a lot of recognition. With India, it will be still seen as a bilateral issue. But India has to be very careful. They might say something and do something. So let's see where the things go. And I was on a TV debate and they were asking me, what do you think Dr. Jaishankar's visit is going to achieve? I said, good photo ops. Don't blame the guy. He's the best man in the job, but you can't change the intention on the people on the other side. I mean, I gave them 12 or 15 things. This has happened in last couple of months. How do you trust the people? Okay, Dr. Jaishankar will do what he's supposed to do. I think he's the best in the job. But how can he change their mind and their intentions and the crookedness in their heads? He can't do that. So he's not God. So don't expect anything. Good photo ops, good things. Some things will be smoothened out. But looking at China at the whole, China has become more murkier, more unproductive, more dangerous, and more against India. That is how I concluded. That is where I rest my thoughts. And China believes, if you have to dominate the world, you have to dominate Asia. As long as India is there, you cannot dominate Asia. Forget dominating the world. And if Communist Party is not seen dominating and growing in Chinese influence, is not building, and with all the political turmoil happening within China, so I think the message is very limited. And China is not only trying to threaten, by the way, by talking about these DF-27s and 17s to United States of America. In my assessment, they are also threatening India. Don't have military relations with Taiwan. Don't give military tech to Vietnam. They're also trying to send a message. And they also don't want us to have military relations with South Korea and Japan. While on the contrary, we want to have all the military relations with South Korea and Japan. And let me remind you, friends, if you've forgotten, after the meeting with Marco Rubio, where did Lavrov head to? Lavrov did not go back to Russia. He went to North Korea, 3 days visit. And North Korea has promised 30,000 men to Putin. So that is where we are right now. You can keep on talking and it will get more and more complex. And, this is last 36 hours or more. That's how these knots are trying to entangle each other. I tried my best to entangle them systematically. I hope you are able to get a picture of what the things I did or what the likely outcome is going to be. Expect no major action. Expect status quo, at least for some weeks or months to go. That is the best for the world peace we can hope.
Thank you so much, 𝗤𝗎𝗍. And I think I said this about 2 years ago, that there are lots of Russian jobs that are going to be open, and that there is a processor that Russia uses. It's very similar to the Intel processor. So you have your programming fairly made up. That is known to you. I'm talking about people who are in the IT sector who may want to look out for jobs. And I had said that you need to learn 6 months of Sanskrit, and then from there you can learn Russia, because the grammar is similar. Russia is a difficult language to learn straight. You need to have a bridge to go there, and it would make it easier to do this path. Certainly those colleges and universities who are listening to PGurus, maybe you can do this thing. The investment is very little. In fact, you can tell the students, if you want to learn Sanskrit and back to back, 6 months of Sanskrit and 6 months of Russian, and you'll say your third year, 4-year course is what it is, engineering. If you want to do that, you have to start from the third year, and they can even pay for it. You don't have to pay from your pocket, and have some sort of a Russian language qualification exam that the government of Russia recognizes. Conduct that exam, because it's not you who determines how well your student is speaking Russian. The Russians have to determine how well your students are conversant in Russian. Do the small things, then there is a lot of opportunities for the youngsters. Why I say this is, people already in the industrial sector, right? They got their, they've got their rut. They know what they need to do. 8 o'clock in the morning, run. 5:30, 6 o'clock, kaam ho gaya. Uske baad 6, nobody does. 8 o'clock, you don't have time to spend and learn something new. But at the college level, you have time. That's why I'm saying to invest it at that level. I mean, I don't know. As always, we can give advice, free advice. 10 lakhs is 1 million. 1 million is the number of opportunities. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It will go to 3.1 million, sir, 3.2 million in next 3 years. 30 to 35 lakhs, 35 lakh. What we are talking about. 30 lakh.
Mauke pe chauka. You have to do mauke pe chauka.
I have to learn Russian.
Okay, then let's take some questions now. Magnet wants to know, Namaste, contrary to Trump's original aim on the Russian-Ukraine war, he has approved arms sales. Isn't that kind of a failure?
I explained that, Ranga sir, what is happening in the backdrop. So that is why he is approving this sale. And again, Trump is not paying for it. First 300 million, NATO will pay. This European Union will pay. He's very clear on that. I'm not going to. And again, what he will give, that way he will decide with the head of the NATO, and he will want to make sure they're able to pinch Putin a bit, but not escalate, because America is not, and NATO is not in a position to escalate right now. So that is what is happening. I gave you all the logics why this U-turn has happened, why this sale is being talked about even at a conceptual level. Next. Who forced war? Sir.
On Russia, US.
Deep State and Joe Biden. Obama. 3 people. Well, you don't have to think too much.
Next one, please. Thank you, Arjun. Why unknown not used in India? Should we consider it?
Everything happens by God's will and His supreme grace. And that doesn't have a time. When the right time comes, right things happen. I rest my case.
Next one, please. Himanshu Chopra wants to know, sir, what is the game behind Dubai offering citizenship by investing as small as 20 to 25 lakh rupees? I remember you had said that Dubai doesn't have much options to revamp its economy. Your views?
I have been telling you that Dubai doesn't have much things, because Dubai mainly runs, don't mind me saying, is money laundering. That's why there is zero income tax there. A lot of people have offices in Dubai to launder money. It's as simple as that. Now, there's a transshipment port coming up in Kerala. It's a matter of months. We have 10, I've told you, we have 10 nautical miles away from the Silk Road. Ultimately, we'll have a couple of more transshipment ports coming. Hong Kong, Changi, and Dubai are the 3 ports which will have major problems. Even Changi will have a major problem. So because you don't have to divert. Today the ships have to divert a lot. We are coming up with that. And after that success, and with our Bharatmala, Sagarmala projects shaping up, or Gati Shakti shaping up, we are going to take over this business. And the MROs of the world of this part of the world are going to be in India. Everything will be run in India. So they realize this. The trading is slowly getting out of the bonds. And Americans are getting more and more stringent on money laundering, because a lot of money goes to these nefarious organizations. As Hamas, Americans will keep their eyes closed if Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis and all these crap heads are not getting financed. But the problem is these crap heads are also getting financed. And look at FATF latest thing. I think I was on Doordarshan or somebody. There was a question. Now the FATF for the first time recognized that there is state sponsoring of terror and state financing of terror. Now here the game changed. And one of the things what FATF has recognized, thanks to Indian efforts, is that over-invoicing and under-invoicing. Where you act as buyers and sellers. There's a terrorist X selling to terrorist Y. So you have a firm here, you have a firm in X here. Okay, I'm selling you some $10. I bought something for $1,000. I'm selling you for $100,000. And you happily give me $100,000, right? So these things are getting no question, because there is no income tax, free flow of money, questions are not asked. So they are also realizing in the long run, how much can they survive by that? Today you buy gold from Dubai. Where does the gold come from? Dubai has no mines. They have no food. They have nothing. So they want at least people to come. Today, to survive, I've been telling you for months now. Russia has all the arms in the world. What does Russia doesn't have is the people. Russia doesn't have soldiers. Russia doesn't have skilled manpower. So without people, economies cannot run. That is why they are lowering the bar. Earlier, these golden visas of Dubai used to be for those Bollywood celebrities, right? Ye Dubai mein makaan hai, bhai ka Dubai mein makaan hai. Now, usually there are 20, where anybody come because they need people. And ultimately, you have to think, if I can be direct, you want to be a king in your country or you want to be a slave in some other country? Take a call.
Muthukumar wants to know, is Bharat ready with strategy to tackle aftermath of a China collapse?
I think we are already doing a lot of things. I will tell you, even in this fertilizer weaponization which they did, we got a deal with Saudis very, very fast. And we moved double the supplies from Saudis. So we are doing it, sir. It won't be, and I'm requesting Government of India now through all the channels, through all the TV, please ban every and all kind of API imports from China. Still some APIs are coming from China because some greedy businessmen here who don't want to take it here, who send them material, raw material to China. They do some processing and send you back the APIs, and that is dependence, sir. We have seen what has happened with DAP. They tried to fail our Kharif crop this time. Let's kind of cut these APIs. I'm requesting to everybody, please ban any and all kinds of medical APIs imports from China very, very soon, very ASAP as possible.
Next one, please. Lakshan wants to know, if China has some problems which will split the country, what would happen to Bangladesh and Pakistan?
Oh, there will be, Pakistan, my deadline is 26. Already by 25, you're seeing them kind of going crazy. Bangladesh has to become, Hindu Desh has to cut out of them. And Bangladesh can be what they are. It will be like Afghanistan. It will not be Pakistan. I maintain that stand. It will be small power centers which will emerge and they will start controlling small territory. This Hindu Desh will be like a Bhutan or a Nepal. And even formally, India should get into alliance with Bhutan, Nepal, and Hindu Desh in the near future. And say, look, and even Sri Lanka. I am not in favor of Maldives. Look, we are going to give you all the protection. Merge your economies with us. You will be you will be a federation. You will not be a kind of a part of India and all. But we'll manage everything, merge your economies with us and be safe, be brothers and be safe. I'm not in favor of doing it with any Muslim country because that is counterproductive. That will only bring more problems to you. So even Maldives, no. Go to China. Go and do alliance with China. If Xi Jinping can send you water when the Indian Ocean rise, why not? He'll send Fujian filled with water. You can have all the water, fresh water from China. No problems.
An average Hindu, thank you so much. Any reason India not paying attention to jet crashes?
No, the jet, there is an attention. I think today DGCA, I've been talking a lot about it, has announced that all these fuel switches have to be inquired and they have to be checked again. And just 1 or 2 hours back, it is announced. So, sir, it's not that people like us, shout our lungs out. Somebody else, it's not we matter. We are nobody. We're a speck of dust. But when we say in the national interest, there are people who are really concerned in the government and in the echelons of power who are as patriotic and you and me want this country to run. There's a lot of bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of things which are old styled and they block some things here and there. But when it comes in the open forum and there are people up there who want things to happen and they are really, now this is ordered. I think I hope if it could have been highlighted by us or people like us a couple of years back, maybe this extent would have not happened. Thankfully, it is not the pilots and it is those switches which need to be fuel switches which need to be reworked or which need to be checked. And I have been questioning DGC. I say, why DGC didn't order an audit? You should have ordered an audit. How does it matter? Let the airlines do it. And I'm again putting a caveat, one more, friends, brother. Who is the company? Which is the company which is doing the maintenance of Air India? I want to put a question mark on them. Is it all happening good? Is it all happening fine? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but as a concerned citizen, I'm putting this caveat out. I'm putting a question out.
Next one, please. Freshly Brewed wants to know, Trump has become a clown. Yesterday, he refused to leave the FIFA Club World Cup podium. What can we expect from this imbecile?
This man is trying to bite more than he can chew. He's in a very difficult stage. The only problem is he cannot control his language. He's extempored. He speaks a lot. That is what his style is. If he could control his language, thoughts and emotions, he's not a bad guy conceptually. He's trying to manage a lot of things. Sree Iyer App will tell you, living in America, he will know better than me. He's trying to manage a lot of things and it's not easy where he is. When Modi ji took India, we were literally at fragile 5. We're almost gone. Congress had left this country, literally brittle. And from there to come here, it's not easy. And a lot of times you will say, why is Modi ji ducking? Why is he not taking action? I was on a TV debate, a Hindi TV debate, say, why Fadnavis is not taking action? I say, you want Fadnavis to take action? You have the highest GDP coming from Maharashtra. You have Mazgaon docks where you are building submarines and ships. Your Baba Atomic Century, a lot of things which are coming from Maharashtra. Or automobile industry is based out of that. One bad action, one couple of months of agitation, everything is gone down the drain. And there are intel reports that China wants this language troubles to ferment. So what you have to do, you have to try to control the situation a lot of times. And what they rightly say, you pick and choose your wars. You pick and choose the time of your action. You don't react to when they want you to react. You have to really kind of do. And that's what Trump is trying to do. A lot of times politicians are naive, but they think it is not the right time to do the action. You might have to do it after some time. You know, when PFI was marching those cadres in Kerala, a lot of people, Sumit bhai, action kyun nahi ho raha? Why action is not happening? Then Amit Shah dismantled PFI in one day, right? But not when PFI was provoking you. You pick and choose your timing, but as long as it is done, it is good.
There's a case of a daughter of an army officer converting to Quran, converting to Islam, getting forcibly converted, and the army officer sued in court against the people who did it. And this girl got, I think, 30 lakhs or 30 crores funding from a PFI organization. This is happening in Kerala today. It's just getting out of control. Just watch what's happening in Kerala, guys. There are some very serious developments there. We'll try to touch upon it maybe a little bit later. Let's go to the last question, please. Steep tariffs on countries supporting Russia. How long can we keep blackmailing every country in this world and get his way?
Till the time dollar is the currency, till the time you're the world's biggest economy, till the time you have all the banking system, you control the service, till the time you're the world's largest military, and till the time People's Republic of China exists. So this is where it is as simple as there. Russia, my brother, has I think few thousand sanctions on it. I forgot the number. They are in big thousands. Still, Putin says, I'm not interested in BRICS currency. I'm not interested in de-dollarization. That's what Putin has said. So you can understand the gravity of the situation. I completely endorse your point of view. These blackmails are not good. They are bad. They should not have happened. But the problem is that it is the style of the person which is making it more and more blatant. You can threaten a person by whispering something in his mouth, and you can also pull out a knife and threaten a person. It's how you want to threaten so logic is that there are a lot of things which are wrong in the world, and the debacle of the world trade happened when Democrats, Mr. Bill Clinton, got China into WTO, thinking China will change. For 1 year, China was very nice, good boy. Oh, I'll do this, I'll have change. But ultimately, Americans, the Democrats befooled the world, or got befooled, or led the world down the garden path, or they were laid down the garden path, saying the communists will become Democrats, communists will become, democracies, and things will change. What happened? You emboldened communism and this autocracies in the world. Now, go and bear with it. The day you made WTO China enter WTA was doomed. Look, Russia is not causing you so many problems because the brand of communism or the flavor of communism in Russia is entirely different from that in China. China is an economic terrorist, if I may call it. It weaponizes the economy and it uses everything against it. When Marco Rubio said, look, these guys are not there to sell anything. They are not there to make money. They are weaponizing rare earths. They try to weaponize fertilizer. They are weaponizing every goddamn thing around us. So let's not forget whom we are up to against. And I don't know what Shinzo has written in his doctrine and what the hell he has written in some secret pages, which still they believe is the gospel truth of the world. But I think the world is slowly realizing after the rare earth fiasco, China has got completely exposed. And we have to prepare for a big shakeup, which is going to happen in a couple of years.
Thank you so much, Sumitji. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Let's take the Ashirwad of Mahadev.
On that note, brothers and sisters, kindly do like, share, and subscribe. Put this video on your WhatsApp groups and write a note. Do watch it. A lot of information packed into it. English, anybody can watch it. And, on that note, we thank you for all your love, patronage, and support. Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Vande Matram. And Om Namah Parvati Padaya, Har 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 Mahadev.